Welcome back to another episode of the Drunken Dice podcast. I know we've been gone for a while, but it's good to be back, along with my great co-hosts Jim and Peter. How is everyone doing today, and what are y'all drinking tonight?
I'm doing pretty good today. Drinking some, what am I drinking, Alex? I'm at your house.
Yes, we have an actual, at least two person in one location this time. Both Jim and I are drinking Calumet 8-year bourbon. Both on the rocks. It is really good. All the Calumet stuff can be a little pricey, but all things considered, it's a really nice, good, smooth bourbon.
It's delicious.
Do basically whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Peter, what about you there in No Man's Land?
Currently nothing, because I am fending off a headache, and I would rather not have that become a problem while we're recording.
Then you should drink water.
Yes.
Because you should always drink responsibly. When you're not feeling good, water is the responsible thing to drink.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to all those times I did this or ran D&D games while drinking, while fighting off a headache or sickness or dislocated shoulder.
Yes.
When did you dislocate your shoulder?
That wasn't this podcast. That was the other podcast. A fantasy football one.
Oh, yeah. The one that we got so fed up with the entire league, we just stopped doing the podcast just to spite them a little bit.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm peeking a little bit.
What was that?
I noticed I was making it peak.
Oh. Well, let's reduce the gain a little bit.
Yeah.
Stand by, everyone. We're reducing some gain.
We can be responsible.
Less gain.
Nah, no need to do that.
Get too many gains.
And we're going to reduce us by about
Just
a decibel and a half.
Yeah.
Should be good. Less gain, less decibel. Hopefully this works. If not, Peter, have some fun doing your magic.
And if it sounds bad, it's Peter's fault because he edits this.
Yes, he's the technical engineer. So.
Yep. That's my job.
How is it being bullied by two people in the same place right now? Does it feel like we're teaming up on you? Because it should.
Yeah, it kind of does. But, you're not here, so it's less of a problem.
For now.
Yeah, I can't, get put in an arm lock and held down. So, there's that.
Yeah, you can be mentally coerced. You don't have to.
Also true.
Also, if anyone's listening to this, Peter is a part of a streamed Star Trek game right now. So if you follow the user ELH on Twitch every Tuesday at 9 p.m., you can see one of our cohorts and us generally in the chat giving the entire crew grief playing a Star Trek role-playing game. It's a lot of fun. You definitely should check it out, especially if you like... We're all DMs here, but ELH is really good at what he does, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, if I know that sometimes I bring up Star Trek Adventures stuff, but if you guys really want to learn how to actually run a game from someone who actually knows, watch his streams.
And the crew is entertaining as all hell.
The Doctor is the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way better than Peter.
It doesn't take much.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
Dr. Early is amazing.
My character in the previous game was pretty good. This one isn't I haven't, defined him quite as well, which is irritating.
Yeah. I still
That's
think
on
of
me,
Metal in the
though.
Box sometimes. I still think of Metal in the Box at times.
Nabok was a great character. Thalen, I'm working on him. He'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
But
One day.
So, if any of y'all can make it, please do, and all hail Ensign Ricky.
All hail Ensign Ricky.
Oh, no.
Transitioning to what the topic that I kind of wanted to talk about. I know before in the past we've been really rigid and structured on that. I'd like to get away from that a little bit, talk a little bit more freeform. Let us have some fun with it and see where it goes. I wanted to bring up, since we brought up we all are GMs, DMs for different games, how do you approach running a session? Let's take out, it's not a session 0 or a session 1. This isn't like the end cap of a campaign, just your normal Tuesday.
Yeah.
How are you setting up for that game?
So like prep wise,
Yeah, or prep wise.
actually running it.
Yeah, actually, like how you go into it, what your mindset's like. Because right now, Peter, you are running a game of Star Trek Adventures.
Yep.
Jim, you are officially doing your homebrew D&D world.
Yeah, I have 2 campaigns in my homebrew D&D world. Plus, I'm in the process of running and planning Star Wars Force and Destiny, which so far we've basically been doing one-shots to get a little more comfortable in the system. But yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah, I'm also working on...
I'm playing a lot.
I'm also spinning up like a Alien one-shot, because I have the book, and then I'll be working on Avatar when all that stuff is finalized and I can get my hands on it.
So, and I started off running a game, not in D&D, but an Edge of the Empire one that has kind of been on hiatus because schedules have been stupid. But it's still there. They're in the middle of a PUBG planet, which is hilarious that's where we've left off and you have to finish.
Yeah.
Because it'd been a while since we played, and I just thought it'd be something wild and wacky to throw them into. I currently am running the Curse of Strahd module for both of these 2 and a couple other people.
Yes.
And I've run a couple one-shots of Call of Cthulhu. And there's some other systems out there, like the Avatar one, that'd be interesting, but we seem that our
I've played one session in Avatar. It's pretty fun. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that one works out. But
yeah.
Peter, because you specifically haven't run D&D, let's start with you and how you start your Star Trek adventures. How do you go into that, especially since there has to be so much planning, especially with how big the crew is?
Yeah. Yeah. So
how do you take on that?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, because I haven't really mentioned it that much on the podcast, my crew is like 9 people.
Which is ridiculous.
Which word to the wise, don't do that.
Especially as your first campaign running.
Yeah, especially I'm going to run a new system that these experienced GMs have no idea how to use. And neither do I, because I've never DM'd before. Let me use 9 people, because that's the size of a cast. That is a stupid idea, don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's kind of dumb. It is definitely
so
dumb.
I warned you about that early on, too.
Yes, you did, and I just I was like, oh, it'll be fine. Narrator, it was not.
that pretty much is how everyone treats me, is I say, words of wisdom, and you go, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then it's not.
I had big ideas of it'll be different because it's a Star Trek campaign, and I'll give you all things to do. It doesn't matter. It all still functions the same way.
And I'll be completely honest. If I ever hear someone tell me it will be fine, I know for certain I'm just going to get angry because it will not be fine.
Yes.
Because in my experience, someone saying it will be fine means shut up, I don't want to hear your dissent.
Yes. That's not what was happening in this case. It was just I didn't think it through. To be fair, it's turned out okay, but I would not recommend anyone do that. That being said, when I start planning for a session, generally, at least the one that I'm running for you guys, I'm working from source material. So for those of you who are familiar with Star Trek audio shows, there's one called Starship Excelsior, and I have basically pulled the campaign from that storyline. Obviously, some things have gone off the rails because, different ideas.
You can just say it. I drive things off the rails.
Hey,
there's...
To be fair, our captain has driven shit off the rails.
Yes, okay. If anyone has listened to Excelsior and has met Brahms, yes, much different things, many different things have happened because of the captain, especially with that character. But anyway...
He's really good at rolling when he needs to, but also he's getting court-martialed. He's getting court-martialed for sure.
Yeah.
So
and I'm not somehow. And I've done things arguably worse.
Like hacking Starfleet Intelligence.
Yeah.
Yep.
hacking into Starfleet Intelligence and doing surprisingly well,
Yes,
but not well enough.
But if you remember the audio short that I played for you, they now know who you are, and they may try to recruit you. So you didn't get off scot-free, but...
Like, that's my punishment?
Yeah, that's your punishment. You might have to go work for them.
Yeah.
Trust me, certain parts of Starfleet Intelligence you probably don't want to work for. So I've generally been pulling from source material. So at least for me, what that means is I have to listen to the episode that I'm pulling from, or multiple, because we kind of stretch and do all sorts of stuff. And then I go through the script. I get the behind-the-scenes information because I have all of that because I work on the show.
As a transcriber and a voice actor.
Yeah.
Peter's got an IMDb credit.
Does he really?
That's
awesome.
I do.
We need to look this up right now.
For the record, IMDb did not accept my changes to his name and other personal information.
That's because you tried to put in all sorts of obnoxious stuff.
I don't even remember the full extent of the name I tried.
You and Dustin were both just doing something obnoxious.
we were having it up.
That sounds great.
So I go read that. So I do the behind the scenes stuff because I try to get character motivations. Because one of the big things for me, especially in Star Trek Adventures, is character settings and world state. Because the way that I run this particular game, it's a living universe. And so the things that you do affect basically everything around you. So when a session is over, I have to sit there, and this is part of the system, because there is a reputation system. Some people use it, some people don't. But I always take into account, okay, like they were mentioning court martial, so like a character does something that's like, you just opened yourself up to a whole bunch of problems, and now I have to prep for, your previous CO is going to hear about this, and that's going to go swimmingly.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise.
Indeed.
Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise.
It was more sing-songy than
Yeah.
I remember.
So I have to so what I do is
I just remember an old video from
yeah, it's
us
still
in
out
high
there.
school YouTube.
Yeah.
Where that was out there. Because I
Yeah,
think
the
it was
Picard
actually... There was that, and then someone cut that part in to a part of the Navy's carrier Enterprise singing "I'm on a boat," and midway through it, they put the Picard thing in there, and that's where I knew it from.
That's hysterical.
That was funny.
That's really goofy.
Which, ironically, I was watching with the guy who's about to get court-martialed by him.
Oh no!
Back in high school.
So after I do all of that, I then generally, if we're doing a campaign mission, I will then write a page or two of notes for myself. Generally, what that is because I have the PDFs of the books, I'll copy relevant stats over if there's there's starship combat. Because the ships that I'm dealing with aren't necessarily ships of races that are in the books, I go hey, this one works, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to use these stats, and so I just toss it into the Word document so that I have it for quick access. I will write down certain roles that I know are going to happen, because I am also aware that this crew does all sorts of random shit. I actually have notes of, if party does this, this happens. If party does this other thing, this happens. And sometimes they do neither of those things, and then I have to pull something out of my butt really fast. This, in fact, happened in our Star Wars one-shot. I had Q take them to the Star Wars universe just for shits and giggles because it was May 4th. And I had this whole thing of they could do this, they could sneak into the factory, they could do that. They walked in broad daylight in Stormtrooper armor and blew the damn thing up. It's oh, okay.
And evacuated all the people.
They
so
got
there were
everybody
no
out, so
civilian
there
casualties.
wasn't any civilian. They didn't do anything wrong, but it was just one of those I was hoping for some more clandestine stuff, a little bit more like Cloak and Dagger, and all of a sudden it's just nah, we're gonna set the self-destruct, do a biohazard so everyone leaves. Oh look, it's blown up. Cool.
Okay. This is also the game where we have the characters going, hey, I'm going to violate direct orders from admirals. I'm going to hack into Starfleet things. And then those same characters will be like, you know what? I want to become better friends with my chief. And this is my goal today.
Yep.
And literally a 10-minute span switch, which is all don't make sense. And by people, I'm talking about me.
Yeah, primarily you.
Yes, he decided to make nice with our exceptionally grumpy chief in engineering, Chief Adao. So
it's worked out very well to my advantage, much to the chagrin of almost everyone else on the ship, but to my advantage.
I mean, I just kicked her off the bridge that one time.
True.
She would not play my icebreaker games with me.
This is also the crew that was taking bets on a fight between both myself and the chief of security.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we did do that.
Yep. That
and
did
I
happen.
won by cheating.
Yes, you did.
And I bet on you.
And the doctor and the captain and the first officer all kind of got a little blitzed in the captain's ready room with Sawyer and Brandy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you do remember correctly.
And then, we were, after the whole incident, getting ready to go out on a mission again. The captain made the poor decision to not say, all command staff to the bridge. They just said all bridge crew. So the doctor, the chief engineer, decided to get blitzed in medical.
That also happened.
Yeah.
You said we weren't needed. We're not bridge crew. We're sitting here.
So, yeah, but that's generally what I do when I'm prepping. I kind of go back over my source material. If I'm coming up with something completely different, it takes me about a couple hours to come, because I have to write notes for myself. Not necessarily because I need all the character notes, but I need especially if I get a little flustered by something, I just need something to put me back on track. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't go off script. In the Star Wars game especially, our lovely two people here, Alex and Jim, decided to go investigate pirates that were set dressing. They were, in fact, just set dressing, and they decided to go talk to them.
Because we were maybe chasing a very specific character we were hoping would be there.
And he was.
And yes. I obliged, because I knew who they were after.
Hey, you tell us we're in Star Wars and they're pirates. We're checking to see if it's Hondo Anaka.
And especially, it was because the last year in September at Comic-Con, I got to meet Jim Cummings, so
you did? That's cool.
Yeah. And I would talk about Starstruck.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, let's do it. Then Marion said, oh, we should talk to him. And he was just walking past. She said hi, and I had nothing. My entire brain went blank. I'm like, this dude is literally in everything.
Yep.
This guy is from basically anything animated, he's in it. He was the singing voice for Scar when Jeremy Irons lost his voice in The Lion King.
Yeah.
He was Ed the Hyena. He is in so much stuff. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, look at his filmography.
It's insane.
And you'll be like, there's no way. How is he in this, and this, and this? And it just keeps going.
Yeah, it's incredible. I did, in fact, record that whole bit, so I do have the interaction with Hondo from that game for shits and giggles.
Yes, because we may have knocked him out, then convinced him we were trying to help him.
Yes. What was also funny is
do that right as I take a drink. I'm next to my computer. I can't spit.
What was also really funny is occasionally, during that conversation, you guys were trying to throw me as the DM off, but because I was playing Hondo, I could just throw it right back at you, which was quite entertaining. For me, anyway.
It was fantastic. Yeah, it was great.
Because there were a couple points where I'm going to throw Hondo off, meaning I'm going to throw Peter off. And then Hondo says something completely stupid, and you guys just stopped wait, you went there? Yes. Yes, I did. Um,
But
so yeah.
Going back to your prep, because you said you take a lot of notes. Do you like almost do like a choose your own adventure note prep of like if the party does this, I go down this way. If not,
only
this
for
way?
big decisions. So for instance, in the last session, there was a time element, and so I needed to have like if the party waits this long, if the party does this or tries to do this particular thing, then you know, bad guys show up, or if they do a bonehead and turn on the Borg cube, well, shit happens. That in fact is what people did.
Which I did under. I was gone, and
Yes.
they made my character.
Yeah, both of us weren't there for that part of the session.
And
No.
the two people who would have had the brains to go, this character would never do this in 1,000 years.
Well, to be fair, trying to get information out of the Borg mainframe, not a bad idea. However, what you had to do it, not so
Was
great.
a bad idea.
It was one of those like, oh, look, the ship's turning on. You should probably leave. There's only so many ways the DM can say, you should probably leave, and have the players ignore you. It's not my favorite thing.
You mean like put a new named character in the way of where you're going, and have one person just say he's honor bound to the people who just betrayed him?
Oh, God. Oh, no.
I'm sensing a story here.
You were a part of
You're,
this.
yeah, that's...
This was the first time we tried running Star Wars. And
Oh,
when
right.
the Old Republic.
Damn it. Yeah.
So we were on Bathanui, and I was doing kind of like a murder mystery sort of thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
they found out
which was
the people who hired them ended up betraying them. So our Mandalorian friend, when they encountered an NPC going, hey, you just got screwed, don't do this, follow me, I have the people who can help you, said, no, I'm going back to the palace to these people because I'm honor bound.
Let's just also be clear. It wasn't like, hey, random human that are everywhere. It was a freaking Lasat.
Yes, I
So I'm like, a Lasat? Really?
Yes.
This is the DM saying, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Go this way.
And what was the next thing that happened? He got thrown in prison.
Yep.
Yep.
And we were not going to rescue him.
Like, I warned you this bad would happen if you did this, and you went anyway.
Yeah, the two Jedi ran away, and the Mandalorian just got himself put in prison.
Jail.
Jail.
He met
got
Tahoe.
tired. But
So-
do you have anything else to add on that one, Peter?
I don't think so. Yeah, I know that a lot of other DMs don't use as many notes as I do. And to be fair, many of the sessions that I have, my note taking has gone down over time, because I've gotten more comfortable with how to run the game and how to just adapt to the shenanigans and the idea that it is fairly chaotic. So the amount of notes that I have has gone down. My first couple sessions I had like 5 or 6 to 10 pages depending, because some of it was just dialogue that I was grabbing to make sure that I said like plot points. But now it's just like, I'll get it, it'll be fine, famous last words. But because I'm more comfortable, because we're farther along in the story and I'm more comfortable with this particular part, I know what the characters are. I have a better understanding of the characters and how they interact with you. So I don't need to have as many notes on characters, unless it's like an incidental plot thing that I need to especially if it's like basically a note to players, then I have notes. Because it's like, this is important information, and I need to make sure that this is passed on correctly, so I don't need to retcon it later and be like, oh yeah, I made a mistake. But yeah, my notes have gotten less, but note-taking is a good plan, but it's not for everybody. But it is how I do it.
I don't know why Alex just looked at me when you said no taking's a good plan. His head just whipped towards me like, are you hearing this, Jim? Are you listening?
Because I was going to go, speaking of the not for everybody, let's go into, because Jim's campaigns are all homebrew at the current moment that he's running. I'm running a module. So let's hear, how does, from the homebrew's perspective switching to D&D?
What's prep? No, I'm kidding. I say that, but because everything's homebrew, I have a lot of power over everything, including like just how the world works and all that.
Yeah.
Just because it's my own world, and
Yep.
I mean, and I'm playing like both my homebrew campaigns are in the same world, so it's not like I'm working on two separate worlds and trying to figure out how each of them work or anything like that. It's the same world. It's all along the same timeline and all of that. So I've been working on it for 7 years.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like a lot of the background stuff, I just like know it, or I at least know the parts that have already been thought out that affect whatever new situation you guys are putting me into, that I can quickly figure out how the world would react to this, how characters would react to it, how the world works in this situation. So, and because of that, I can do a lot more improvisational sessions. At the same point, though, like I think about the storyline a lot.
Well, it took 7 years to get.
It's taken 7 years to get here,
which we finally did. We have finally crowned a High King in that world.
Yeah, and they have gone from level 1 to 17.
Yeah.
And we have like they've done so much, but I've had so long to think about it, and like when I'm not doing something important, like I can think about this stuff, and like the week before a session, because since we play on Fridays, like that whole week at work when I'm like sitting there waiting for a machine that I run to like finish a part so I can check it, I'm like, okay, so if they do this, then like this might happen, or this might happen, this might happen. And because I know you guys are chaos incarnate, Alex, that's straight up calling you out. Yes.
When the gods show up to the thing, I stand up and wave to my patron person.
Yeah. Like I know your party real well at this point, so I can figure out roughly how I think you're going to do things, assuming I haven't forgotten some random shit in your inventory. But
I don't blow out a random Horn of Valhalla.
Yeah,
I just start running through a dungeon.
Pretty much,
in my other game.
Shit like that. And so I can anticipate some of the craziness and just think about and plan for it before we even get there. But because you guys have never ceased to surprise me on what you guys have tried to do. I know if I try to get like too tied down into certain paths, it is just gonna throw me. So I'm way more loosey goosey with it. But like all the main story points and all that, those have been like thought about for years, literally years. And so it's like, okay, I just know this because I've been practicing that speech of the big bad evil guy's monologue or whatever, or the dialogue, or the High King being crowned, and like all this, like, oh, I've been practicing that for like 3 years now, so there. I don't have to have intense notes. It's in my brain.
Yep.
That makes sense. How many times has it, like when you were first initially planning the High King thing, who was the character in your mind who's going to be made the High King? We took a random duke in one of the more backwater things because he was a good man. But I wonder if that was a person you had thought about being crowned when you first kind of made it.
That was actually my hope from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, that was like... So, because I figured... Because it really is like, for those of you not playing in the game, they haven't seen anything of it. It really is a big open continent that I let them go roam around in, and stuff happens around the world, and they can choose not to deal with it, and at times they have, and things happen. At other times, then they kind of have to deal with it.
And we get dropped out of a portal randomly.
Yeah,
You're now on the other side of the continent. That
wasn't even me trying to push you in a direction. That was I rolled on a random something happens table, and a magical effect happened, and I rolled to see what magical effect it was, and I was like, oh, they got teleported. And that was actually a pretty impromptu session.
Yeah, because that went straight into the demon cult one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which proved really useful later down the line, having an ally in the south that
Yeah.
we wouldn't have probably had otherwise.
Probably, yeah, like you have that ally basically because of random rolls of like some strange thing happens, and then me going, well, there's going to be a story here.
Yeah.
Let me figure out what the story is real fast and throwing something together.
And our time that we just started saving villagers from these demon cultists. We're like, get to the city,
Yeah.
This is not good.
Yep. And then Tahoe accidentally killed one by throwing
He threw
a
his sword
out a window.
Yep. And that is also the session where Elthurion ceased to be the bank. Because I used all of my silver to silver our weapons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
And now Nia's the bank.
And Elthurion is poor. Well, not too
No.
much.
They're not poor at
all.
Just compared to the other members of the party.
Okay, the only person who actively hoards anything is Ava.
Yeah. That's
Nia
accurate.
does too, but not like because she just holds on to it. She just doesn't tell us anything. It's like, oh yeah, I picked up the gold. Okay, cool. How much do you have? Like 9,000. How the heck did you get that?
Well, that's why we just treat her like a checkbook. I'm like, all right, thank you for this. See the bank, please, and we walk out.
Pretty much. And
That's
you just let her deal with the money train. She's your business manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
She is the probably most responsible of the entire group.
Yes. Yes, she is. But yeah, when it came to that crowning of the High King, I'd always planned for him to be like the best option, but I've had parties that have gotten really aligned with like the North Kingdom, and haven't really cared to look into the bad shit they do. Because powerful allies are powerful allies and have started on the way of helping them crown their king as the High King of the continent.
Yeah.
No one's ever gone to the south, and I literally don't know why, because everyone always goes north.
Yeah.
Everyone always goes north. You start in a middle city, and everyone is just like, let's go north. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Why is that?
I don't know.
And by everyone, it's usually me pushing them north. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't always.
I mean, I wonder if it's because the first mission the party goes on is a bit to the north of the city. So north is like
And the mind.
on the mind and planted that way.
Possibly.
But south is a perfectly good option too.
Yeah.
It's just weird. But yeah, like, I mean, in reality, the party you guys chose, but anyone else playing that campaign could choose any of the nobles to be High King as long as you can, make the deals and alliances that you need to get the votes.
Or themselves.
Yeah, including potentially yourselves. Because the party does get made lords of a city, which is a pretty ceremonial title at first, and then the story gets thrown into the leading role of the city.
Especially in my addition to the party, where I went from in a jail cell to a ceremonial lord title in the span of a couple hours, because I was rescued from the jail cell by the party.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he's with us now. Okay.
It really was just ceremonial at the time. Like,
Yeah,
we got lords in a city that doesn't have nobility. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
It's
lower
like being
lords.
a colonel in Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, when there's no more any ruling class there, and we saved the city, we are now in charge.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Basically
That's
what
that.
happened.
What's your right to rule this city? You have a city because we saved it. That's a decent argument. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a good counter to that.
Plus,
We're bankrolling it.
Pretty much. You guys bankrolled it. I mean, there were about like 100 people in there when you took the city back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even that many people, and they're all like just commoners and laborers and stuff. So it's like, well, you guys are the only form of leadership and power here, so they're gonna follow you guys.
And we have the military as well.
Yeah, and then you guys made
a lot of friends.
Made a lot of friends and
legitimately made a lot of friends. That's not even sarcastic. He went around for a while trying to rebuild the city.
Yeah,
that was a good chunk of the campaign.
Yeah, and it was a good call because, like, it gave you guys insight on a lot of stuff. It gave you guys allies that you really wouldn't have had. Like, the guy you just made High King, you really wouldn't have known him from any other person, really, after that. Because you first met him after you took back the city. Like, tangentially, he was kind of there for something.
And then we helped out his town, taking out the wannabe lich.
Yeah, a wannabe lich who was basically trying to run a school of her own to create more necromancers.
Who is still not dead, by the way.
Yeah, she is still alive.
She is still alive.
But yeah, it was through that you actually had a real conversation with the guy and came to know who he was, as opposed to just one of the other lords.
Yeah.
And realized, oh, this is actually not a shitbag.
Yeah. And then being able to go do a one-shot where we made secondary characters, because our characters created a spy network throughout the continent. Also came from my character based on a spite to start off with.
Yes.
But turned into an actual network. So when we had a couple people who couldn't play, we decided, we can do a thing where we're going to try to go on a reconnaissance mission up north. So I got to play a character who was like a really fast talker, an actor, like I could talk my way into everything. Ended up talking my way into a meeting with the King of the North and hearing their plan to try to take over the crown, which then gave us huge insight on, oh crap, this is bad. And then he ended up breaking into the office of the advisors, which then we knew the advisors were sketchy. But then we had proof that there's an inner circle in there that is controlling things for some reason.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you guys had been bolder, you could have found out earlier what all that was because it was there. Like, because I think Peter was the one who was actually in that room when the advisor came in.
I think so.
He was invisible.
Yeah. I just couldn't open the secret door without him noticing.
Exactly. And there was a shrine back there to the god who you hate.
Yes.
Who would have given some
much
insight
needed context.
Yeah, a bunch of context on why they are doing what they're doing. Yeah. But because you couldn't really get in there without him seeing, you kind of didn't have a choice but to leave it alone and find out later.
And it didn't help that we're doing an infiltration mission
with Jessica.
With one of the people who is... I love my fiance. But when it comes to role-playing and being deceptive, she does not know when to stop talking.
Yeah.
Like, we're walking in, my entire character shtick is I talk my way through things, and I'm really good at it. I get us through, and she decides to introduce herself to this guard we just talked her way through. Rolled a nat 1 and went, "Hi, I'm Jessica." And I had to fake my way saying that she had autism and she wasn't good or something weird like that.
Yeah.
It was my cousin who had autism.
I don't think you gave it a name. I think you're just like, she's special. And because I think we stayed away from the actual names of things.
Probably.
Middle Ages, you're not going to find much of autism in the Middle Ages, even though it for sure existed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, how she's special. She got sent here by my aunt. I have to watch over her. And the guy was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'll pray for you."
Yeah, and then it happened again with our normal characters. So to get to the meeting for the High King, we were basically under a kill order by the people in the city where we were meeting. So we had to sneak into it. We found a way to sneak into the back door. We got in, and Marriott just keeps talking. Like, the guy has already opened the door and let you in.
Mm-hmm.
Stop talking. You're making it worse. Just stop talking.
he asked them to like make sure the kitchen saved him some food, like some chicken or something.
Because we got in, because we hunted like a pheasant or something.
Yeah,
and brought it in.
It was a pheasant.
And she's like, "Can you save me a wing?" And we're just like, "Yes." And she just kept going. And I was like, "Stop! Why? Stop! You're making it weird. Stop!"
Even in my head, from the Garth point of view, I'm sitting here. I'm like, even he's confused why you're talking so. Like,
Yeah.
Something's up here. What the hell?
Yeah, he may not be suspicious yet, but he's just like, something's wrong with this person.
I think he would have been suspicious if he wasn't so tired.
Yeah.
He was dog. He had at least 2 levels of exhaustion. Like, he was dog tired.
Yeah. Because you guys had. I mean, you guys didn't do any majorly illegal things like killing a duke, but you were accused of it.
No,
Yes.
No, you did. You did kill the one duke, but that was sanctioned by the government,
and it was under like an act of war, so
Yeah.
it's a bit more.
It was all good.
Yeah, we didn't murder the guy because the guy who we accused of murder was the one holding the pheasant.
Mm-hmm.
Who we had elected High King.
Yeah. So,
Which was really fun, going around recruiting allies, saying we were going to elect the guy who is presumed dead to High King, who is hiding in our city as the road manager.
Yeah, Phil the road guy. Which is the name you lovingly gave him.
Which he begrudgingly went along with.
I mean,
To the point where the rest of us don't really remember his name. His name is on my character sheet notepad. Like, I have it written down, but we just call him Phil the road guy.
We
For
have
the longest time.
it down so many times, and I still don't remember what his actual name is.
I know. Even at this point, I have trouble remembering.
I could grab
because I'm
I could grab my character sheet and look, but there's not.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not. Like, it for me, it's just... I was pretty sure at one point it was an E name, but there were a handful of E names that were, like, similar, and I kept, like, mixing up which one. So we got, like, Peter's character, Elthurion, Alun, which is your advisor, and then there were, like, a bunch of other, like, there were some gods, there's some, like, I was like, there are too many similar sounding names. I did this to myself, but, like, I'm having problems, like, note takers, write this down, Peter.
Yeah, and I did. And then we couldn't find it, and so we generated a new name for him. And then after the fact, I found his original name, and it just didn't matter anymore. But, oh well.
And at the same point, in the city, when you were talking about him, because he was up incognito, you just kept referencing to him as Phil the Road Guy, and I was like, yeah, we're going with that. I mean, it's not his name, but it's the name he's using right now, so sure, Phil the Road Guy.
It's his name and his title.
Yeah. Yep, basically. Phil the Road Guy.
But it worked.
Which was hilarious when the entire city was broadcast the new High King, and they're just like, wait a minute.
That's Phil the Road Guy.
Probably like the people in Ba Sing Se who see the Fire Lord look suspiciously like Lee, the tea guy. Like, hey.
I know that one. He served me cold tea at one point.
You're saying he was a firebender the whole time? The least you could do is give me warm tea.
Wasn't he accused of being a firebender?
No, that was...
fought a guy with swords?
Yes, yeah.
He was.
Yeah,
he was.
Wait, but what conflict were you even talking about? Because there's no war in Ba Sing Se.
You almost had it.
There's some
there's
bar fights in Ba Sing Se, but...
Oh God, Peter, you missed the joke.
There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
I got it. I was just being annoying.
The Earth King has invited you to Lake Loud, guy.
I will accept the Emperor's summons to Lake Guy.
Good. That's where you belong.
Thank you, Dark, for locking. Yeah, but anything else? Since we after that huge tangent,
Yeah.
Now you get a sense of how our parties work. Tangents.
Yeah, pretty
Lots
much.
of tangents.
Lots of tangents, and
which is why I thought it was very fitting how we prepped as DMs, because we have to prepare for all of this nonsense.
Yeah, for you wonderful people, and Peter.
Oh.
For the record, Peter's wonderful, just not a person. We say it live on Twitch, so it's fine.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, like, talking to other DMs, I would not suggest how I prep for games for the majority of DMs, because I have a background in, like, the more improvisational thing with, like, things outside of D&D. And at the same point, I have, because it's my homebrew world that I've been working on for 7 years, like, it's so ingrained.
Like, you are the database. Like, for me, I have, like, core books I gotta go off of, because I'm telling a module story. You are the world and the story.
Yeah.
You have to consult yourself, so
right.
it's a lot easier.
And sometimes that really does mean I've had to call sessions early so I can actually, like, give real thought to it. Like, you guys were fighting in preventing the Lich woman from actually becoming a Lich. She wasn't there yet. She was going through the ceremony at the time. Like, it was a question of the rules around disintegration in objects.
Yep.
And at what point did a vessel become magic itself as opposed to the magic surrounding it and inside of, like, what it was containing. And I mean, I had to think about it for a week and consult Peter, the other philosopher in the group, and, you know, we talked about this stuff, and, like, you know, sometimes you just have to do that. Sometimes it's better to say, you know what, I need to think about this stuff and pull back and think about stuff, as opposed to just, like, ad-libbing stuff. But, like, when it's stuff that isn't that important, like when you've done stand-up and improv stuff and all that stuff, like, yes, and we're gonna roll with the punches. We're gonna find a resolution.
We're gonna shove a couple kilos of coke in a Dragon Eternal's nose.
Hell yeah! Sounds like a good way to go. Sounds like a heart attack, but a good way to go. Yeah.
But yeah, that moment with the Lich was big, because not only did it stop because we kind of thought about how the world works even there, it was a turning point for a bunch of characters as well. Like, it was, because we stopped that. So, like, Elthurion stepped up in a big way, kind of leading with a lot of the stuff, helping out. That was the first time Tahu received some magic weapons, and he was not just a jail blah, like, he actually was thinking about different things and helping do that. Umazul learned that he has more roles than just being a blaster, because that entire fight, I spent the entire time trying to prevent the ritual. I wasn't even really attacking anyone. I learned that I am probably the biggest blaster in the party, but since that session, I have transitioned a lot more to a utility role. Like, I want to use, especially with meta magic, in that I've been twinning polymorph in haste almost every single fight.
Yeah.
Because I can, and it helps everyone out. And then a twinned rogue with her nonsense is a great blaster to focus people down, and I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And it was really fun that moment, that thinking back on it, is pivotal in so many different ways. And it's enough with the new Duke that was made a High King and all this other stuff around came from that moment, which was really wild.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, like, because that was one of my more, like, big set piece things, which I obviously, like, I think every DM puts more effort into the big set piece things, like in Curse of Strahd, when you're gonna eventually go fight Strahd at the end of the game. It's a big set piece thing. Like you're like you.
We're not even close to.
No, I know we're not.
I have so many things that have to go before you have to worry about that.
Yeah, but like like when you go do that, or like in the Lost Mines of Fendelver, like there are all these set piece things.
Yeah.
That you like plan out, as opposed to just like some random encounter, or some like less than important encounter, like the few goblins at the start of the Lost Mines of Fendelver, which it really isn't. Well, shouldn't be a big
thing. Is it the Dragon Heist one too, where it's like 4 different heists that you do in Baldur's Gate?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I've forgotten. I played a bunch of that one, and I'd forgotten most of it.
Or like when we're playing Horde of the Dragon Queen, that entire Battle of Greenus that we're going through, like that was a huge thing, a multiple day thing in game. So how many sessions out of game going through it and all that? Like that was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like so those big set piece things, like you put more effort into them, and like those are the days I like make sure I have maps that are like well done and not like old style like
MS Paint.
Basically, like I mean, like you see people, you see DMs do it all the time. You see Matt Mercer do it on Critical Role, where he literally draws something out on a piece of paper, and that's the map, as opposed to his big dungeons that he has everything covered and minis for everything. So it's like like when you get to like those big set pieces, you put more effort into them, and because that's what you're working for, and that's like those are big moments. Like of course there's character growth and character moments throughout, but it's those big moments that like really have an impact on the rest of the story, or it's the climax of the story, and it's the parts that are the party's going to remember, and where like those big shifts can happen in characters and the plot and all that, where like all those small sessions of impromptu and all that like build up to it, but those are the ones you have to like nail down and make sure like you put some actual effort into them to make them memorable.
Yeah.
Sounds good, and it's really, I think you do a great job doing it, because how many moments that we talked to, like we've talked to this 5-6 different moments just on this podcast alone, and we had not even scratched the surface.
No, I have like a million other moments from our game in my head of like, another big moment, another big moment, another big moment.
Which I find going in there, kind of transitioning into mine on there, we're starting out in the Star Wars one before I go into Curse of Strahd specifically, but doing in Star Wars, I have a lot of background knowledge of Star Wars and doing all that. But also coming from a improv, theater, other sort of backgrounds we're performing, and that is the yes and how can we keep going. Sometimes it's hard because I keep pushing it. Like, ask anyone here who knows when I play, I am generally a force of chaos. Which makes it really hard when you run the game.
Yes.
Because, especially that first time we did it, I definitely leaned into that probably too much, and that was a big learning experience for me. Because I'm like, I have to be the one to say, and let's bring it back in. Which I'm not good at.
Not always, no.
But which is actually kind of the nice thing that going off the module, which is because I have a good framework on there. And unlike some modules that, how do I get them back on the story? I have this built-in thing that you can't escape Barovia.
Yeah.
So part of the module is, I don't have to find a way to get you back going, because your mission is to get out, so you have to do something.
Yeah.
So no matter what, you'll have to do something that I can go off of, because you just can't walk away, because you'll die.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But even my character doesn't need to breathe. I still die in the mist, so...
Yes. The mist doesn't care. The mist will get you. But, so it was interesting, like, going on and doing that, because obviously Barovia is still very, very big, and there's so many things on there. And I have different notes. Like, I have on I use OneNote for a lot of mine because it's real easy to compartmentalize everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like things the players are doing, notes on NPCs, because I'm expanding out a lot of it. And it being a module, there's a way to have to do it. And I don't know if anyone knows how D&D modules are written. It's generally poorly. They do not write them in an order that makes good sense to understand it. Like, it's all over the place. So the first thing I did when I did it is I started watching people play Curse of Strahd so I could get a sense of, okay, how is this kind of supposed to go and what's it supposed to do? I want to hear people talking about it. Because since I have so much source material, I want to make the best experience for you all that I can. And that is where I'm coming from it. Like, it can be really fun, really cool. I want to make something that you all will remember. Like, set up with cool plot lines, and especially interesting that you all are now playing as evil characters and your motivations. How I'm going to go and make challenges for you that it'd be really easy if you were all like your paladin, that you're motivated to help people.
Yeah.
But since I have to create very selfish motivations, how am I going to do that, subvert it, and play, and how is that's going to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the fun thing, like, right now, anyone who's played Curse of Strahd, we are in a lot of the storylines in Vallaki. They have got arena to Vallaki, and we're going off all this stuff that's happening there. I had to go through that entire section multiple times and be like, alright, we have this one that's right here, probably can be foremost. In 7 days, they have this thing. In this many days, this can happen. This needs to be show up to the players. This can happen anytime. If they go north of Vallaki, this is here. And almost like blocking out where things are.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of know. And it's like, okay, and if they just decide to just piss off and do none of that, what's going to be the consequences when these things time out? Because the world in Barovia goes on, whether or not the players do anything.
Right.
Which will either help or hurt them, depending on what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting, and we set up so many plot lines right now, especially since they found their fated ally. So that has another thread on there that's going on. Some things are going to time out, and how that happens and how that those relationships work out is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and like at this point in that, from the player's point of view, at least for me, like you just sit there and look and go like, okay, we're not even looking for more things, but more things are coming at us, and like we literally can't get all of these things done, so we're gonna have to prioritize what we need to.
Yep.
Because unless it's something that we just happen to stumble upon and we can solve today in the next 20 minutes, like I'm not looking for any more good things. I'm like, I don't know, hey, some guy's dumping people into a lake. Well, I know one way to make sure that doesn't happen ever again, and I don't have to worry about this problem ever again. I dump him into the lake.
But it's definitely a good thing that you all interceded with that, because you guys gained some, if even not allies, some friends that you might not would have had otherwise with that.
Yeah. And since the majority of our party doesn't really care, it just happened. The paladin tried to save him, but everyone else was just like, alright.
But then the paladin's also in heavy armor and can't swim very well, so it was
Yeah.
like, well...
And I was just having a relaxing, nice little row back to shore in the boat.
Yeah. And one thing that I'm enjoying, because I have so much to work off, I can work on so many little details. I don't have to work up as so much as you normally have to. Wow, I can talk there.
It's like it's not midnight yet, but we're approaching midnight.
But
as we record this,
since I have so many, and Peter, you have notes. If anyone saw what my computer screen looks like, because I have the book Curse of Strahd, which I bought, which is generally open, since Jim's sitting here on my work laptop to the right. I have the Discord on the farthest right part of my right screen. I have a Chrome tab open, and the second part of that, I have another Chrome tab on the right side of my left screen, and I have Roll20 on the left side.
Yep.
So, and inside all of these ones are about 10 different things from 5e tools. I have the campaign specifically on one of them there. I have another part of the campaign because I know I'm probably have to reference that one in there. Then I have all these other ones. Like, all right, I know these are probably the monsters that are going to have to be gone through. Let's make sure I have all of their stat blocks up and nice and easy so I can just flip open to a tab on there. Behind the ones that are locked into the screen, I have my OneNote for my notes that I can click the tab and bring up. And the other one, I have a Google Sheets, so when combat starts, I can keep track of the hit points of everyone, of all the enemies.
Yep.
I have so many things just going. I'm like, I need to know how this works in order to...
For combat, I normally just keep a scratch pad because I don't use Roll20. Basically, I just use Theater of the Mind because I don't have a whole lot of maps for you guys because Star Trek maps are fairly specific.
Mm-hmm.
This one looks like space.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm glad you pointed that out to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get the scratch pad thing because, like, I mean, I only have 2 monitors at my disposal right now, so, like, I have to, figure out how to manage space on that, which inevitably, because I'm, playing with a group of my friends, and it's a bigger group than it started as.
It kept growing, yeah.
It kept growing, with, like, 5 players now.
Yeah.
Not as bad as Peter's Star Trek game, but like I want to see you guys, and like I mean I do what I can even though it's over the computer, like to read where you guys are at, to make adjustments, and to kind of make sure everyone's somewhat engaged when they can be, or when I see someone staring at their phone in combat, I know I can't just be like, okay, character's turn. I just be like, hey, Alex, what are you doing? And you pop your head up and, oh, okay, my turn? Yeah. Like, cool.
Because sometimes, like, when you get a lot, like, and I don't like doing it as much as I can because I love being engaged in it. But sometimes, at least I found this for me, combat, when there's a lot of places, can drag.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the time that I find my mind wandering. It's never when we're doing other stuff. It is always when, okay, I got 10 other units before my turn. I'm waiting to hear Umazul gets attacked and hit before, until it's my turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it happens to everyone, and like you do your best to be good, but like, even as a DM of many years, like, when things are dragging and I am not a part of it, I'm just like, okay. Like,
which is why, at least I hope, like, when I run it, I like to have a bot that runs music to keep the mute, so it keeps some people still engaged doing that. And I try to be as descriptive as possible with a lot of the attacks, just so people stay engaged in different things. Because that's actually, I think, could be an entire other topic. How do you keep everyone engaged with everything going on? Because sometimes you have to get in the nitty gritty, and you have to do it. But obviously, some people will check out because that's just how it goes.
I mean, and sometimes there's nothing you do to help it, because like you make a ruling a player doesn't like, and he's gonna be off looking up the rules, even though you know the rules and you quoted the right rule, and he's not going to be engaged for the next few minutes while he tries to figure out if you're right or not, which of course you are. So, like, that's a huge topic for some other time.
How you deal with certain types of players, like power gamers, rules, lawyers, the constant on the phone. That's a whole nother thing.
But yeah, I mean, I literally just went to like Walmart, bought a $2 notebook and a mechanical pencil, and just the front half of the notebook is just a bunch of stuff I've written for my Friday campaign. The back half of the notebook is a bunch of stuff I'm writing for the new Wednesday campaign I'm running. And so, like, I mean, and it's names, it's notes, it's weapons and magical items, all that jazz. So, like, it's a weird combo between, like, that stuff for, like, my game specific, especially homebrew stuff that I've made, a million tabs open on 5e rules to make sure no one's abusing their class abilities or some other crazy or reminding people they have class abilities.
Going from because there's all these things because we all do this sometimes with an ability or spell. We see the name and we sometimes make assumptions because we don't read exactly how it goes. We all have done it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works in your favor when you read everything. Like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. And sometimes you're like, that's not how that works. We need to roll back and how it goes.
But, yeah. But yes, I mean, I also have like every D&D book within arm's reach of me at any point in time. And like when I have a bunch of monsters that are for especially set piece things, I literally just rip up pieces of paper, write what it is on top, shove it in the top of the book as a bookmark, so I can just quickly look and flip to the right page.
Exactly why I have the thing on 5e.
Yeah.
I'm just like, tab, 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 tab. Oh, there's a werewolf on this one? Click here. Oh, it's a zombie beholder? Here it is.
Yep. There are just times when I'm like, I know I can do it better with the book so that like when you guys are trying to use spells in creative ways, which I love when people try to like use spells in creative ways, do all that stuff, like I can read the spell and have that up and have the monster book open and kind of be able to figure out like where I am in all this, as opposed to like kind of getting lost which window which tab is in, and then like getting to the right window and tab and all that. It's like, okay, like.
And for anyone out there, like, we obviously buy the books, so we're not just pirating things. Mm-hmm. We want to support everyone. But we bought the books. I will use the database 5e tools because I want it at the click of my fingers on that. I will support the thing, but I will use the tool when I have it.
Yeah.
Another good one, an app, it's called the Spellbook app off Google Play.
Mm-hmm. It
is up to date on all the spells, and it is so convenient to find it. You can search by class. You can just do a master list. It is really, really good at bringing up whatever you need. And it's on your phone, so you can even have another resource. You don't have to worry about another tab flipping through to find it. It's right there for you.
Even as a player, it's really helpful. You can keep all your spells just quickly in one place.
Oh, yeah. I have a permanent, like, 2 characters on that as just, like, whatever main spellcaster is going up against you guys, so that I can, like,
just more. I want to get the updated thing.
Oh, I know.
More.
But,
I filled up all 6.
I just, like, it's just one of those things where, like, I have my characters on there, and then I just have, like, 2 or 3 of them that are, like, they're not even named for anything. It's just like Druid, because that was the first character I put on there, and now it has like illusionist wizard stuff on there because we ended up using an illusionist wizard in recently. If potentially as an enemy, ended up being an ally
because I spared him.
Because you spared him.
I spared him.
And things did not go as I thought they might, but which was good. But like, just. I mean, having that as I can just quickly look at his list of spells and be like, wait, what's that one do again? Oh yeah, he's using this.
Yeah, and it's going back to like a module on there. One thing that's nice about Curse of Strahd, it's known to be a gut punch a lot of the time, which is great for me as a DM because I never have to worry about balancing an encounter. Because encounters as written are freaking brutal.
Yeah.
Like, the one we just had, they had to fight 6 vampires spawn at level 3.
Mm-hmm.
That is a deadly, deadly encounter.
Yeah.
And I even nerfed it in a little bit of the way, where I didn't have them keep using their bite. I had them using double claw attacks instead of a claw and a bite.
Yeah.
Because that bite reduces your max hit points.
Yeah, it wrecks you fast.
That hurts going down because you can't even heal.
Nope.
So it was one of those. I'm like, all right, this is nice that I can just, all right, what's this room? Throw it all in, and this is what happens. Like, let them. Like, they knew what they were getting into with this one.
I mean, I was totally fine after that.
Yes, you were.
I was not.
I never got hit. But I'm also a bard, and my role is not at all attack.
You
It
are
is
not a
buff,
frontline.
debuff, heal. And that's why I baned. I did a few things. Vicious mockery, healing word. Because I
Yeah.
brought. Did I bring you back up, Peter?
Yep, I went down.
Yeah. So I brought you back up with healing word. Like I did. That's all I do. That's my character is heal, buff, debuff.
And the funny thing about that counter that I downed Peter, almost downed Matt. If you guys hadn't gone, just retreat right away. I fudged the rules a little bit on how the disadvantage on sunlight works for them. I was very, very generous to you all on that because most of their attacks should have been normal, not disadvantage.
Yeah, I know.
Could have wrecked you all.
Yeah.
But also didn't help that you had a paladin who didn't smite the undead.
I know.
I was very confused that entire time. Like, smite it. You have the smotes.
Yes.
Smote them.
Smote them. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't. I'm pretty sure I asked at one point if he was going to smite something. And then he grappled.
Okay.
Yeah.
The smartest thing
Which
he did
wasn't
was
bad.
grapple the one where he grabbed one, held it into the sunlight, and essentially using that thing as a shield. Because
Yeah.
he was getting hit by two of them.
Yeah.
Well, if I grab one and use him as a shield on the other while he's burning in sunlight, I'm sitting like, that's actually more damage than you possibly could do otherwise.
Yeah.
Because these undead were not vulnerable to radiant damage. It just hurt them. They couldn't heal
Mhm.
from it. But in sunlight, they couldn't heal and they got a lot of damage. Like,
Yeah.
that was actually a very smart thing. That
It was smart, but also
But until
some
it got
smites
to that point,
would have been nice.
Yeah. the 3-4 turns he had before then,
Yeah.
he should have been dishing out some damage.
Yeah. Throw some smites. Maybe take one or two of them out, and start getting the action economy back in our favor.
Yep.
But nope.
I don't think we killed a single one. We just
We did not.
Yeah, we ended up just booking it out of there.
You booked it, and you had a chance to kill them because you broke all the windows, so the room was getting flooded with sunlight. And you could have tried to lock and bar the door so they would just burn up, because it would have taken not many turns for them to die.
We did lock it.
Yeah,
They
but
broke it down.
it was just a wooden door. It was a normal wooden door. Vampire spawn can break through that.
Oh yeah, but also the object that they're searching for, we knew just got flown away by a druid who
That's
polymorphed into a giant raven, and so we were trying to hunt down that raven.
It makes sense though. Like you had to choose either do we actually finish off these vampires spawn in here, or we go chase what we actually were asked to go get. Which it was kind of fun that this campaign you have so many decisions that will actually have consequences.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yep.
That's why I'm enjoying playing it, and hopefully they are having a memorable experience as well as me running it. Which,
I am.
I quite did.
Even if I can't keep my accent up every session.
Yeah, my accent also fluctuates a little bit.
Mine does too. The only one I get in the Eastern European accent in. The only one I can ever really stick with is when I am Strahd.
Yeah.
Good evening. Like a actually good regal
Yeah.
Wallachian one, which is
Well, when I'm home alone in my own basement at my computer, I can mute everything and do the things I need to get back into my accent. But when I'm the last session we played, I was over here.
yeah.
I'm not in control of the microphone. Everyone can still hear me, so I just have to kind of go with it because
Yep.
I can't mute everyone, get back into the accent, then unmute.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So-
I sometimes do the same thing because my accent is based off of a specific character.
Mhm.
So I go
Yeah.
back and listen to them and then
I have
Say a few
essentially 3
lines.
accents in that game. I have normal Barovian, I have Vistani, and I have Strahd. Those are my 3 accents I
Yeah.
have in that game.
I only have to worry about one because I'm just one character. But my
Yep.
accent is based off of Cassandra's accent in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So that's where I get that one.
I'll have to throw in another accent because anyone who's played the module knows of a character who shows up later on, and I need to have a good voice for him because they've already met Van Richten, but there is another named character,
The Mad Mage.
Yep, the Mad Mage, and they will learn his identity, presumably. So, and I want to do something unique for him because he's an actual important person in the D&D universe.
Yeah.
Which I want to show the importance of that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
My accent for that is kind of weird. How I get to it is kind of weird. So, for all you Critical Role fans out there, critters, if you remember the first campaign, in the first 27 episodes, there was a guy, Orion Tiberius Stormwind. I will do a bit of his accent from Tiberius Stormwind because it drops my voice a little bit and gets like a little more gravelly, and then I from there mix it with now I understand why Matt Mercer gets these two mixed up all the time. Vax or Vex? Vaxalon, yeah, Vax. The Rogue, and mix in his accent with the Tiberius accent to get my character's accent.
Huh, that works.
And so you have me like muting it to be like, I'm Tiberius Stormwind. I'm Tiberius Stormwind. Because he says that a million times.
To the point where you were listening to it, and then I said, I am Elthurion Stormwind. I had not seen any Critical Role at that point.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any Critical Role when you came up with your name, and then it was. I guess I'm still haven't even watched all of the first campaign, but it was. I started watching it. It was like 20 episodes in, and then in our game, you were introducing yourself to someone who's like, "I'm Elthurion Stormwind." I'm like, "I'm Tiberius Stormwind. I'm Elthurion Stormwind." Like,
Yep. No relation whatsoever.
no relation. No. Half elf, dragonborn, no relation.
Nope.
Yes, the Peter, the man of many half elves.
I do love my half elves. I am unapologetic about it. Although I have played other kinds of characters, but
You have, and we're proud of you for that.
But if you give me the option, I'll probably play a half elf because I enjoy it. So,
yeah.
But I have played a halfling. So
You have?
Firth, quite an enjoyable
Played
character
a
if I do say
lot of
so myself.
races.
So
Now that I think about it, I've played a lot of different ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done halfling, tiefling. Right now I'm a human. Dang it, what's the right term? It's like it's reborn something or other.
Yeah.
Undying.
I mean, I'm
From
on.
Van Richten's
Yeah.
book.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like those of you who watch Critical Role. It's the same thing that Laudna is.
Which I thought was perfect. They're like, oh, we're going to curse Strahd? You're pulling out a race from when they were literally talking about Barovia? That's perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Yep. It was just Peter scrolling through races going, that sounds cool. So I've done that. Done a halfling, yeah. But generally speaking, I do half elves.
Yeah. I've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I'm generally a weird race, unless I have a very specific build in mind and I need a variant human feat.
I mean, like, for what Horde of the Dragon Queen we're playing in with your fiance. Yeah. Like for that one, I chose variant human to simplify things because it was her first campaign, so that like as a cleric, she didn't have to worry about whether I could do somatic and all these different components. So I was like, I'm just gonna be a variant human, so I can take Warcaster. I don't have to worry about all of this extra stuff. I can do my movements with my shield and mace still in hand. We're good. Simplify.
Yeah, I went with Goliath, and I was like, he big.
He big.
That was all.
He very big.
And I get the complete thrill of, and you get hit for this much damage. No, I don't.
Stones and nerds.
Screw you.
Yep.
And I look at her face, just.
Oh no.
I know, which is great for audio-only listeners right now, but the face was quite... Picture a hilariously exasperated face. That's what it is.
That's hilarious. Alright. We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, I think we have gone up on tangents, on tangents, on tangents.
That's what we do.
Yeah, this was... I like this freeform style a lot more than our more rigid ones we had before.
Yeah.
We've had a couple ideas. One of the next things we're probably going to talk about is our favorite classes, since we've been kind of going and hinting at a lot of things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be able to get that one out here pretty soon.
And I will be bringing back some of the weird homebrew stuff I find online.
Yeah.
Like, I think next time we'll probably talk about a weird Ooblex slime creature that I think I made better than the homebrew that I found.
We did have a fun talk on how to make it better, which
Yeah.
I think I'm very... be fun to see what people think about that one.
Yeah.
We need to make a poll after that one goes out to see what people think. But other than that, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for sticking with us. We've been gone for a while, and hopefully we can get these back up going on the regular.
Yep.
Again, I've been Alex.
I'm Jim.
And I'm Peter.
Say, check him out on Tuesdays on Twitch, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
See you guys later.
See you.